Welcome back to our channel.
Welcome to Learn English with Joynob. I am Julie.
And I am John.
If you want to improve your English, this podcast is perfect for you. So let's get started and make English learning easy. What are the words today, John?
The first word today is put off something, come, get to the point, look on the bright side, break the ice, get the hang of it, see eye to eye, hit the nail on the head, and read between the lines.
Before moving on, I'd like to say today's word list consists of the words our followers wanted us to teach.
Great. We are looking forward to the words from our followers.
Okay, let's start with the first word, put off something. Put off means to delay or postpone doing something. It's when you decide not to do something right away and push it to a later time. You might put off a task because you're not in the mood to do it or because something else is more urgent.
Great explanation, Julie. Here's an example. I had to put off doing my homework because I had to attend a meeting, but I did it later in the evening. This shows that the homework was delayed for a reason, and it was done at a later time.
Exactly, John. Here's another example. She put off going to the dentist for months, even though she knew she needed to go. This shows that the person delayed something important, probably because they were avoiding it.
That's a good one, Julie. Sometimes put off is used when someone delays something they don't want to do. For example, he put off cleaning the garage until the last minute. This means he kept delaying the task until he couldn't avoid it anymore.
Yes, John. You can also put off making a decision. For example, they put off making a choice about the new project until they had more information. This means they delayed their decision to gather more details.
Exactly, Julie. So, put off is a very useful phrase when talking about delaying something or postponing it. Another example could be, I was going to start a new workout routine, but I put it off because I was too tired.
Perfect, John. So whether you're delaying a task, a decision, or an activity, put off helps us talk about things we postpone until later. Let's think about real-life situations where we can use put off. For example, imagine you're planning a trip, but you're not sure when to book the tickets. You might put off making the decision until you get more details about the weather or your schedule.
Exactly. Or let's say you have a lot of chores to do, but you're feeling tired. You might put off cleaning the house until tomorrow.
That's a great one, John. Or imagine you have a meeting at work, but you're feeling unprepared. You might put off going to the meeting until you have time to review your notes.
Yes. And sometimes put off is used when we avoid doing something we don't want to do. For example, she put off doing her taxes until the last possible moment.
Exactly. Put off helps us talk about when we delay doing something, whether it's because we're busy, tired, or avoiding it. Now, let's give our listeners a short dialogue to see how put off something can be used in a conversation.
I've been meaning to call my friend to catch up, but I keep putting it off.
I understand, John. Sometimes life gets busy, but once you finally make the call, you'll feel better.
I know I really should do it soon.
Exactly. Don't put it off too long, or it might feel harder to do. In this dialogue, John is delaying calling his friend, but I encourage him not to put it off for too long, because the longer he waits, the harder it might become to do.
Exactly. Put off is a great phrase to use when we delay or postpone tasks or actions, even if we know we should do them.
That's right. So to everyone listening, try not to put off things too often. Sometimes getting them done right away will make you feel much better.
Absolutely. The more you put off something, the harder it can become. It's better to tackle it head on when you can.
Well said, John. Now, let's move on to the next word, Get to the point. Come to the point or get to the point means to focus on the most important part of what you're saying or doing, without wasting time on unnecessary details. It's when you stop talking around the subject and directly address what matters most.
Exactly, Julie. Here's an example. I was listening to my friend talk for a while, but I just wanted him to get to the point about the party plans. This shows that the person was waiting for the main idea without all the extra information.
Great one, John. Here's another example. During the meeting, the boss asked everyone to get to the point because there wasn't much time left. This means that the boss wanted people to stop talking about unrelated things and focus on the key issue.
Yes, Julie, come to the point is often used when someone is taking too long to explain something. For example, can you come to the point and tell me what you need? This shows impatience or a desire to skip unnecessary details and get to the key information.
Exactly, John. It's about not wasting time and making sure the important message is heard clearly. Another example could be, I had to get to the point quickly in my presentation so I wouldn't lose the audience's attention.
That's a good one, Julie. When you want to be clear and direct, getting to the point is the best way to go. It helps everyone understand what's important right away.
Let's think about real-life situations where we can use get to the point. For example, imagine you're telling a story, but you're taking too long. Someone might say, can you get to the point and tell us what happened?
Exactly. Or let's say you're at a job interview and the interviewer wants you to be clear and concise. They might say, please get to the point of why you're a good fit for this position.
That's a great one, John. Or imagine you're explaining something to a friend, but they're already busy. You might say, let's get to the point. Do you want to hang out this weekend or not?
Yes, Julie, and sometimes getting to the point can help save time. For example, we're running out of time, so I'll just get to the point and tell you what happened.
Exactly. Getting to the point helps us focus on what really matters without going off on tangents or wasting time. Now, let's give our listeners a short dialogue to see how get to the point can be used in a conversation.
I'm trying to explain this new project idea to my team, but I feel like we're getting off track.
You should get to the point and focus on the main idea. Everyone will appreciate the clarity.
You're right. I'll stop with the extra details and just share the key points.
That's the best way. When you get to the point, the message will be much clearer and more effective. In this dialogue, John is realizing that his explanation was going off topic. So I encourage him to get to the point and focus on the main message. This way, everyone understands what's most important.
Exactly, Julie. Getting to the point is essential. When you want to communicate efficiently and make sure everyone understands the key idea right away.
That's right, John. So, to our listeners, when you're talking to someone or explaining something, try to get to the point quickly. It saves time and keeps everyone on track.
Absolutely, Julie. The more direct and focused you are, the easier it will be for others to understand what you're saying.
Well said, John. Now, let's move on to the next word, break the ice. Break the ice means to start a conversation or activity in a way that makes people feel comfortable and relaxed. It's about easing tension or awkwardness, especially when you're meeting someone new or starting a group activity.
Great explanation, Julie. Here's an example. At the beginning of the meeting, the manager told a funny story to break the ice and help everyone feel more at ease. This shows that the manager used humor to make everyone more comfortable.
Exactly, John. Here's another example. When I started my new job, my coworker invited me to coffee to break the ice and get to know me better. This shows that the coworker made an effort to make Julie feel more comfortable in a new environment.
Yes, Julie. Breaking the ice doesn't have to be anything big. It could be something as simple as saying hello or asking a friendly question. For example, She broke the ice by asking everyone about their weekend plans. This shows that a simple question can help start a conversation.
Exactly. It's all about creating a relaxed atmosphere. Another example could be, we broke the ice at the party by playing a fun game together. This shows that engaging in an activity can help people feel more comfortable and start connecting.
Great one, Julie. So, break the ice is a great way to describe how we start interactions that might feel awkward at first. It helps set the tone for a friendly and comfortable conversation or activity.
Let's think about real-life situations where we can use break the ice. For example, imagine you're at a networking event and you don't know anyone. You might break the ice by introducing yourself and asking someone about their work.
Exactly. Or let's say you're at a party where you don't know anyone. You could break the ice by commenting on the music or asking someone about the food.
That's a great one, John. Or imagine you're in a group of people who are all strangers to each other. You might break the ice by sharing a funny or interesting fact about yourself.
Yes, Julie, and sometimes breaking the ice is a way to make a tense situation feel more relaxed. For example, before the big presentation, the speaker broke the ice by telling a funny joke to calm everyone down.
Exactly. Breaking the ice is a simple way to make interactions more comfortable and build a positive atmosphere. Now, let's give our listeners a short dialogue to see how break the ice can be used in a conversation.
I'm nervous about meeting my new colleagues at the company dinner tonight.
Why not break the ice by starting with a light conversation, like asking about their favorite hobbies or what they like to do outside of work?
That's a good idea. It'll make everyone feel more comfortable.
Exactly. Once you break the ice, the conversation will flow much more easily. In this dialogue, John is feeling nervous about meeting new people, but I suggest he break the ice with a friendly question to start the conversation and help everyone feel at ease.
That's right, Julie. Breaking the ice is a great way to make initial interactions more relaxed and comfortable. It sets a positive tone for the conversation.
Exactly. So, to our listeners, remember, when you're in a situation where things feel awkward, try to break the ice with something light and friendly. It will help everyone feel more comfortable.
Absolutely, Julie. Breaking the ice is an easy way to start a conversation and make connections with new people.
Well said, John. Now, let's move on to the next word. Get the hang of it. Get the hang of it means to become familiar with or learn how to do something after practicing or trying it a few times. It's when you start to understand how something works and can do it more easily.
That's a great explanation, Julie. Here's an example. At first, I struggled with using the new phone, but after a few days, I finally got the hang of it. This shows that it took some time, but the person eventually learned how to use the phone comfortably.
Exactly, John. Here's another example. When I started cooking, I wasn't very good at it, but after making a few meals, I really got the hang of it. This shows that the person practiced and became more skilled at cooking.
Yes, Julie. Getting the hang of it can also apply to tasks that seem difficult at first. For example, I had trouble with the new software, but once I spent some time on it, I got the hang of it. This means the person was able to learn how to use the software successfully after a little practice.
Right. Getting the hang of it is all about practice and experience. Another example could be, it took me a while to get the hang of the new dance moves, but now I can do them without thinking. This shows that repetition and practice help the person become more confident.
That's a perfect example, Julie. Getting the hang of it is about the learning process and becoming more comfortable with something over time.
Let's think about real-life situations where we can use get the hang of it. For example, imagine you're learning how to drive. At first, you might be nervous and unsure, but eventually you'll get the hang of it and drive confidently.
Exactly. Or let's say you're learning to play a musical instrument. At the beginning, it might feel hard, but after practicing, you'll get the hang of it and start playing songs smoothly.
That's a great one, John. Or imagine you're learning how to use a new app on your phone. At first, you might feel confused, but after using it a few times, you'll get the hang of it and feel comfortable navigating it.
Yes, Julie. And sometimes getting the hang of it takes time and patience. For example, it was hard at first, but I got the hang of the new fitness routine after a few weeks.
Exactly. Getting the hang of it is all about practice and persistence. The more you try, the easier it becomes. Now, let's give our listeners a short dialogue to see how get the hang of it can be used in a conversation.
I'm still having trouble with this new project management tool at work.
Don't worry, John. After using it a few more times, you'll get the hang of it. It's just about getting used to the system.
That's reassuring. I'll keep practicing until I'm comfortable with it.
Exactly. The more you use it, the easier it will get, and soon you'll feel like a pro. In this dialogue, John is struggling with a new tool, but I encourage him to keep practicing until he gets the hang of it. With time, he'll become more confident using it.
That's right, Julie. Getting the hang of it is all about persistence and practicing until something feels easier.
Exactly. So, to our listeners, remember that it's okay if something feels difficult at first. With enough practice, you'll eventually get the hang of it.
Absolutely, Julie. Don't be discouraged if you don't get it right away. Just keep at it.
Well said, John. Now, let's move on to the next word, see eye to eye. See eye to eye means to agree with someone or share the same opinion about something. It's when two people or groups have the same viewpoint or understanding on a topic.
That's a great explanation, Julie. Here's an example. My colleague and I don't always see eye to eye on the best way to approach a project, but we always find a way to work together. This means that even though they have different opinions, they eventually agree and cooperate.
Exactly, John. Here's another example. My sister and I see eye to eye when it comes to our favorite movies, so we always enjoy watching them together. This shows that they have similar opinions on the types of movies they like.
Yes, Julie. Seeing eye to eye is all about agreement. For example, after discussing the idea for a while, we finally saw eye to eye on how to move forward with the plan. This shows that after talking it out, both people reached the same understanding.
That's a great one, John. Seeing eye to eye can also happen in situations where people need to come to a mutual understanding. For example, it took some time, but we saw eye to eye on how to solve the problem at work. This shows that they worked through their differences to agree on a solution.
Exactly. Seeing eye to eye is a great way to describe moments when people agree after discussion or sharing ideas. It's all about finding common ground.
Let's think about real-life situations where we can use see eye to eye. For example, imagine you and your friend are planning a trip together. You might not agree at first on where to go, but eventually you'll see eye to eye and pick a destination you both love.
Exactly. Or let's say you and a coworker are discussing how to organize a team project. You may not agree on the details at first, but after talking it through, you'll see eye to eye on the best approach.
That's a great one, John. Or imagine two people deciding how to decorate a room. They might have different styles at first, but eventually they'll see eye to eye on a design they both like.
Yes, Julie. And sometimes seeing eye to eye is about understanding and respecting each other's viewpoints. For example, although we didn't see eye to eye on every aspect of the proposal, we were able to agree on the key points.
Exactly. Seeing eye to eye is a great way to describe agreement after discussion or compromise. It's about finding a common understanding. Now, let's give our listeners a short dialogue to see how see eye to eye can be used in a conversation.
I've been disagreeing with my friend about which movie to watch tonight.
Why don't you both talk about your preferences? And you'll eventually see eye to eye on something you both enjoy.
That's a good idea. We just need to communicate and understand each other's choices.
Exactly. Once you both share your opinions, you'll find a movie that works for both of you. In this dialogue, John and his friend are disagreeing about which movie to watch, but I suggest that by talking it through, they'll see eye to eye and find a solution that works for both of them.
That's right, Julie. Seeing eye to eye is all about coming to an agreement after discussing differences and finding a common ground.
Exactly. So, to our listeners, remember that seeing eye to eye doesn't always happen right away. It may take a little discussion, but in the end, it's about understanding and agreeing.
Absolutely, Julie. Communication is key when you want to see eye to eye with someone.
Well said, John. Now, let's move on to the next word, hit the nail on the head. Hit the nail on the head means to describe exactly what is causing a situation or to find the perfect solution or answer. It's when someone accurately identifies the key point or the right way to handle something.
That's a great explanation, Julie. Here's an example. When my manager said the team needed better communication, she hit the nail on the head. That was exactly what we needed to improve. This shows that the manager correctly identified the main issue.
Exactly, John. Here's another example. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said we should prioritize this project. It's the most important thing right now. This shows that the person correctly understood the situation and made the right suggestion.
Yes, Julie, it's all about being spot on. For example, when she suggested that we increase our marketing budget, she hit the nail on the head. It was the right move to boost sales. This shows the suggestion was exactly what was needed.
Great one, John. Sometimes it's not just about identifying the problem, but also about finding the right solution. For example, after analyzing the issue, I think I hit the nail on the head with my recommendation to streamline our processes. This means the suggestion was the right solution.
Exactly. Hitting the nail on the head is about being accurate and precise in identifying what's important. For example, your comment about customer feedback hit the nail on the head. It's essential for improving our product.
Let's think of some real-life situations where we could use hit the nail on the head. For example, imagine you're discussing a problem with your team at work, and someone offers a solution that perfectly solves the issue. You could say, "That idea hit the nail on the head."
Exactly. Or imagine someone gives advice about how to improve your workout routine. If their suggestion is exactly what you needed, you could say, "That advice hit the nail on the head. It really helped."
That's a great example, John. Or let's say you're trying to figure out what went wrong in a project, and someone points out the exact mistake that caused the problem. You'd say, "You hit the nail on the head with that observation."
Yes, Julie. Hitting the nail on the head can also be used when someone gives a very accurate description of a situation. For example, "I think your explanation of the market trends hit the nail on the head. It really made things clear."
Exactly. Hitting the nail on the head is all about being right on target with your observation or solution. Now, let's give our listeners a short dialogue to see how hit the nail on the head can be used in a conversation.
I've been trying to figure out why our sales are down, but I can't quite put my finger on it.
Maybe your marketing strategy is outdated. If that's the case, you'll hit the nail on the head by updating it.
That makes sense. I think you're right. Our marketing approach needs a refresh.
Exactly. If you focus on that, you'll likely see a big improvement. In this dialogue, John is struggling to identify the problem, but I suggested that updating the marketing strategy could solve it. If that's the issue, then he'll hit the nail on the head by making that change.
That's right, Julie. Hitting the nail on the head is all about identifying exactly what needs to be done.
Exactly. So, to our listeners, remember that hitting the nail on the head means you found the right solution or pinpointed the key issue.
Absolutely, Julie. It's all about being precise and accurate when identifying the core of a problem or solution.
Well said, John. Now, let's move on to our next word, read between the lines. Read between the lines means to understand something that isn't directly stated, often by picking up on subtle hints or hidden meanings in what someone says or writes. It's about grasping the deeper or implied message.
Great explanation, Julie. Here's an example. When my friend said she was fine, I could tell she wasn't really fine. I had to read between the lines and realize she was upset. This shows that the true meaning wasn't directly stated but could be inferred from the context.
Exactly, John. Here's another example. The letter was polite, but I read between the lines and realized they weren't happy with the project's progress. This suggests that, even though the letter was formal and neutral, there was an underlying dissatisfaction.
Yes, Julie, sometimes it's about interpreting what's not said. For example, the way he kept avoiding my questions made me read between the lines and realize he was hiding something. This shows that the behavior suggested something more than what was explicitly stated.
Great one, John. Reading between the lines can also happen in conversations when people don't openly express their true feelings. For example, her tone was friendly, but when I read between the lines, I could tell she was frustrated. This shows how tone and context can give clues.
Exactly. Reading between the lines helps us understand the unspoken details. For example, he didn't outright say it, but when he mentioned he was overwhelmed, I read between the lines and understood he needed help.
Let's think of some real-life situations where we might read between the lines. For example, imagine someone tells you they're doing okay, but their body language suggests they're not. You could read between the lines and realize they're struggling.
Exactly. Or let's say a boss gives you feedback on a project. They might say, "It's good, but it could be better." You might read between the lines and understand they're expecting more effort from you.
That's a great example, John. Or imagine a friend says, "I don't need anything really," but you read between the lines and feel they actually want help.
Yes, Julie, reading between the lines is about picking up on the hints or clues that aren't directly stated. For example, when she said she was busy, I read between the lines and understood she was avoiding me.
Exactly. Reading between the lines can help us understand hidden messages or intentions that aren't directly communicated. Now, let's give our listeners a short dialogue to see read between the lines can be used in a conversation.
I think my colleague is upset with me, but she's not saying anything.
You might have to read between the lines. Pay attention to her tone or body language to get the full picture.
That's a good point. I've noticed she's been distant lately, so I'll try to understand what's really going on.
Exactly. Sometimes the clues are there, but we just need to look beyond the surface. In this dialogue, John is unsure about his colleague's feelings, but I suggest he read between the lines by paying attention to nonverbal cues like tone and behavior to understand the situation.
That's right, Julie. Reading between the lines is about looking for hidden meanings or unspoken messages.
Exactly. So, to our listeners, remember that reading between the lines helps you understand what's really being communicated, even when it's not directly said.
Absolutely, Julie. It's all about interpreting the subtle signs that reveal the deeper meaning.
Well said, John.
And that's a wrap for today's word. See you next time. Bye-bye.